on them already.
The copy for Franklin, just to make it easy so you don't get confused by reading Albany County. One thing that Albany County has is they have a very active, apparently, Department of Public Health that would be involved. My understanding is Delaware County's Department of Public Health is quite as active, so I deleted some of that verbiage.
Well, this isn't, how do I call, I know, I passed the Madison County report on to the county, to the state, to the congressman, which he passed it on to the state, I didn't, the congressman did. But I understand that the state isn't moving on, taking, not on the blasting part, but on the emission stuff. They're not, for some reason, they're not even taking sides on it, I guess is what I'd say. I'm not sure how you'd want to word that.
But it might be nice if Franklin could require some emission testing ahead of time and then afterwards.
Okay.
And of course, with the water, I think it's critical. If blasting does interrupt somebody's well, and you're talking about static testing as well as volume drawdowns, that if it changes the vein, you know who blasted and who did it, and ask the company to pay for it. Anyway, it's free review, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Don't be shy.
Hello, Liz Sarro from the town of Franklin. I have some information. This is from the Medical Society of the State of New York that I would like the town council to review. And it's about protecting public health from natural gas infrastructure. And I'm not sure, this is resolution 2015. And has that already been submitted last board meeting? Was it reviewed?
I can't say it was.
It was the Medical Society of State of New York recognizes the potential impact on human health and the environment associated with natural gas infrastructure, and be it further resolved that all levels of government should urge the implementation of a comprehensive health impact assessment in order to assess the potential adverse health risks that are associated with natural gas infrastructure, including but not limited to pipelines, compressor stations, and other technologies. This would also include natural gas storage facilities and liquefied natural gas offshore deep water export terminals. So I will present this to you. So it's urging all levels of government to consider it.
You don't know if the county has passed it?
Well, no, I don't know if this has been presented to you already.
Is this what you, Carol, brought last month about this type of?
I'm not sure. I'm asking.
I think that's something like. Okay. And I can't. It hasn't gone through the county, no, not as these numbers here. It says resolution 2015, number 159.
I believe that's...
We're at like maybe 100.
I believe that's the document that Carol emailed to Connie, and you said you hadn't had a chance to look at your email yet.
Okay.
And it does, page 3 has references of where they have obtained that information from. So I'm asking the town council.
This was in Maryland, where this was put into, actually, because introduced by 2 people out of Maryland.
But this is the Medical Society of New York
Of New York, right.
New York
Yes.
State, which would have been
The town of Maryland.
Town of Maryland? That might be. You would think it'd be spelled out instead of MD as a state.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just.
Could be a doctor.
If it was MD, it's.
MD may have the
Unless that means doctor.
That might be doctor, yes. That might be okay.
I do have another question for you, Jeff. On Saturday, May 2nd, I had called you and asked about holding an open house for the people in the town of Franklin. By Kinder Morgan, to have Kinder Morgan come, because they did hold open houses and they bypassed the town of Franklin. They're proposing 2, well, Kinder Morgan proposed 1 plus a compressor station. So I feel it's fair for the people in our community in Franklin to be educated. When we did the canvassing, it was very interesting. Some amazing people in this town really knew very little about this. So, you know, how can
So
we
do
educate them
Educate them probably by
about
putting up billboards.
what's gonna come into this town?
Well, for
Um,
what, for, okay, Liz, no,
Liz?
Liz, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, I mean, you know, it's terrible to word it like this, but if people do not realize there's a pipeline coming to Franklin, then they are hermits. I can't believe that with all the headlines, all the discussion, or they don't meet with people. I mean, yes, we have meetings once a month. I'm sure the fire department talks. I'm sure your group, I know, talks with the people outside the group. I know that for a fact. And I mean, if people don't realize that there's a pipeline coming and another one coming behind it, and 4 electric line increases, and then that may be the secret. That has been really kept under the wraps a lot. But pipeline has been in the newspaper for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. We've been discussing it since last summer, at least at the boards.
Permits of rights too.
Pardon?
Permits of rights too, just because they haven't done it.
There are some.
And I feel it was,
Then
you
I
know,
guess that's, you didn't go to them to get signatures, I guess, to let them know what's going on. I don't know, sir. I mean, I understand, yes, everybody should know this. There's no doubt about it. And you know, the amazing part is, everybody is against the compressor. That's most of them in this group. You know, I understand that's a passion. And I'm not saying they're not right. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. But how many have gone to look at one and see one in operation?
Have you invited us to go with you?
You can't drive yourself? I drove myself. And I asked to have to be invited to Wellsboro. We went there a month ago.
It would have been appropriate, Jeff, for you as the town official to invite a group of us to join you on the trip. Did you do that? Any of these trips?
No, I did not
The next
because,
time you go, would you invite us?
no, I will not.
No, my resident-
Because I am invited, a public official is invited to this one in Wellsboro. It was just myself, and I did get 2 other elected officials.
And don't shame us for not going. You are the person that already has an opportunity to make a decision.
I did not get invited to Hancock, and I went. I did not get invited to Demet, and I went.
You're representing us, Jeff. That's what you're missing. You're saying, why don't we go on our own? Why don't you invite us to organize a group and represent us?
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm bad. You know, I'll make sure I have a 2-seater to go with. So it's just me and my wife, and then I can't invite anybody else. I'm sorry.
Go.
I mean, Hancock is an hour and 15 minutes away. And we spent 5 hours, 6 hours finding it, right, Bill?
Oh, well, that was only because we couldn't find it.
That's right.
And you're choosing.
And if somebody wants to go, somebody could make an offer. Could you take me there?
Are they going to be allowed to get in and ask questions?
I wasn't allowed to go into Hancock.
Well, you said you were invited.
To Wellsboro. Yes, I was invited because at the county meeting, I said I wanted to
Go
go.
in and ask questions.
I am going in to go
But if
ask questions.
somebody just goes on their own, they won't be able to.
Probably
accomplish
not.
that.
Well, were you invited as a
No.
public official? Because we're not public officials, we can't go.
That's right, you're right.
So so then why are you blaming us for not going with you?
We went to Hancock,
When did I say I blamed you for not
Finish
going
my
with me?
the
comment.
man came out and talked to us.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. You don't need an invitation.
Because I never,
If there's somebody there, they'll come out and talk to you. That's what happened when I went.
Well, if you can't go in, you can't tour, you can't understand it.
You can
Liz
talk
needs
to
to
the man
finish
and
her
ask him questions.
but I was asked by the community that somebody should go down there unannounced to see what the noise levels and stuff were. So I think Bill and I went
Yeah,
down
right.
unannounced to find out if the noise levels were what the town board and county code enforcement officer and Jack Law found.
That was the idea, that we went out without an announcement so that we would stand right at the gate
And we were
and
asked,
listen to the thing, so that they couldn't have been pre-notified and turn the machine down.
Can Liz finish your question?
yes, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to finish commenting. So, hearing the voices here in the room, I think that's one thing that I'm looking for our town council to do, because as a town of Franklin resident, if we call Kinder Morgan, they're very reluctant. They say, speak to your town council.
Yep.
So this is why I call you, Jeff, and ask, and I believe that you take pro-gas people with you to these compressor stations. So I'm asking Kinder Morgan to come to the town of Franklin to have the people in the town of Franklin, whether they're opposed or for
And I asked them
this.
also, Liz, I
to-
called them the day after, I think the day after you asked me about
Okay.
it. I called, and Bill Gustafson or something, he's just a little man in totem pole.
Is he from Kinder Morgan?
Yes, he is. He worked he worked for the Senate or Assembly for 5 years, and he's working for Kinder Morgan. He's more of a find the information and send it back. And I said, I have people in Franklin who would love to have an open meeting with Kinder Morgan, because the compressor station is proposed in Franklin at the time. And he said, well, he'd refer it to whoever his boss is. And they did, and what his response was, the citizens of Franklin could write FERC, so their next, informational meeting in the area, say we want it in Franklin because we're affected. And FERC would possibly put the informational meeting in Franklin. The FERC informational meeting.
But not a Kinder Morgan presentation.
Well, who do you want to ask, Kinder Morgan or FERC? FERC quote unquote, supposedly oversees Kinder Morgan, controls them, supposedly. I'm not saying they do. That's the ladder chain of command.
Steve?
and
Kinder Morgan isn't controlled by FERC, FERC oversees them. FERC doesn't know how every single thing in Kinder Morgan works.
That's right, that's why I think it
Exactly, so
say,
shouldn't we be asking Kinder
FERC
Morgan
oversees
questions that
Kinder
are relevant
Morgan.
to them and FERC
And
questions relevant to their overseeing? We need to ask them both.
I really understand why it wasn't put in Franklin. And that's basically access to the cafeteria. If you're handicapped or have a hard time climbing stairs or anything like that, to get into the Franklin School for public meetings can be difficult.
There's an elevator.
Yes, how many people, okay, I don't know
Could it
what
be
the
at the
capacity of the elevator
firehouse?
is.
Could it be held at another community venue?
I would think so, it probably could, yes.
They held the last one right next door to us.
On both sides of us.
Steve Martin, who is a land agent who secured the compressor site, stated to my sister today that the town council of Franklin has not once reached out to Kinder Morgan
Full of shit.
about having a meeting. Okay,
I'm sorry.
so that's your comment, okay.
That's my comment,
All right.
because I have told this Bill, I told Matt Adlihar, I think his name is, I said, and people at the Sydney open house that we went to, that put it, if it's gonna be in Franklin, put it towards Chamberlain Hill Road, because of the population and density of homes and stuff. It's really a wooded area up there on that end. I said it'd be, if nothing else, the best spot if it was gonna come into Franklin. And
I guess I was asking
Lisa,
for
didn't I
a
say-
meeting for
haven't I
the
told
people
them
of
that?
Franklin. Not asking for it to be moved, but for the people of Franklin to hear from Kinder Morgan, to give them the opportunity
And they said they never
to
heard from me?
speak. They never once heard from our town council, reached out to them
Well, there's,
to hold a meeting in Franklin.
okay. Well,
So
I'll call Bill tomorrow.
I just feel that's really not representing. I look to a
I
town
have.
council.
Reached
To
out
represent-
to him, Liz. And if you don't believe me, keep right on rambling. Thank you.
Okay, I will. And one more comment. Jeff, I'm very disappointed in you as an elected town
Yes,
supervisor.
I apologize
for your
to you.
lack of professionalism of when you stated to me on the phone that,
You're right.
quote, you need to get your head out of your ass. So I am asking you for the respect of the people in Franklin that, you know, these 531 people
Yeah.
who have concerns about
Mhm.
opposing the compressor
Yep,
station,
yep.
that you not take that same demeanor to them. I think, you know, we're looking to you to represent us in the town of
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
and I'm disappointed in your professionalism. So
That
please,
that was very
I'm not
unprofessional.
speaking to you, Garrett, I'm
That was
speaking.
very unprofessional. I agree with that. I did apologize to
I
you.
accepted your apology.
Okay. And that was wrong of me, there's no doubt. But in the conversation that we had, you said Franklin has got to start working together. Am I right on that?
You also said compressor-free Franklin divided our town. You
I did
called
not
us a
say
closed-minded group.
I did not say compressor-free Franklin. I said we are divided. There is the compressor-free Franklin group. There's, and I mean, you got 531 signatures. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Okay, and there's 2,400 residents of the town of Franklin, is what I understood today, from the 2010 census. Okay, so you have a minority, but you have a large number. I understand that, I agree.
children and how many are adults?
Well, I don't think the children are even added to the 531, were they?
No, correct, that's not right.
So that's almost 600. And I don't know how many children are in that number of 2,400, I really don't. But you said we've got to start working together, and I said, yes, you're right, Liz, we do. And then you said, we've got to stop the compressor and pipeline. You're not trying to work with us, with quote unquote, I'm for it, which I've been told I am for it, so we'll go that way. You don't want to work with us. You want to work, we want everybody to work with you, because our side is wrong. And, you know, and I have a terrible problem with, you people and all of you, you're good people, passionate people, you really believe what is going on, and maybe it's the truth. I'm not saying it isn't. There is some truth in it, I agree. But I think there's another side to this, and this is why I'm doing these trips to look at compressor stations and stuff. It's not to say, hey, I'm pro-compressor, I'm not.
So what's the good side to it?
Where's the other 2,000 people?
Yeah.
Well,
We have trouble seeing that there's anything good about it.
You've
Well-
been saying about how they haven't worked with you, I mean, up to now, why on earth should they work with you once they're actually constructed? We can't ever disillusion ourselves that they're here for anything.
well, this is two
other than
different
to make
companies
money.
right now.
They're not.
We are two different companies now. Who are working with us right now is trying to work with us is Constitution, not Tennessee. So Tennessee hasn't even been approved. It's not even, they bought land, I guess, but they're not, you know, quote unquote, been approved to come through. And I guess Constitution hasn't either. Not, you know, to the final. But, you know, we're, you know, as a town board, I think we're acting, we are dragging our feet. Yes, we are. There's no doubt about that. I don't like extra laws and regulations.
Even if they protect the town from something that you're saying is
Oh,
not.
excuse me.
If it protects us.
But what, that protects the town from what a certain
Like cancer.
group says is cancer.
No, that's not.
Well, the science says that there isn't a problem too. I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I think part of the frustration is the conversation is opposed by so many people in the town. If it's gonna be here, at a minimum, what we are asking is for us to have local laws and ordinances to protect us from scientifically proved problems and experientially proved problems of noise, of environmental pollutants, and of other things, road issues, that we have the opportunity, and you have the opportunity as a town board to easily put into ordinances and protect us. And so you need to mitigate those problems. If we're gonna bring a compressor station to Franklin, which so many of us oppose, at least protect us. And I don't understand the opposition to laws when laws are part of our constitutional right, and we need those laws to protect us.
Too many laws. Too many laws for a bad thing.
These are simple laws. I mean, it's, what are they gonna break off apart from?
Okay, we're done. It's your turn,
I would
Jan.
just like to submit some copies of a recent study done in Pennsylvania by healthcare professionals on the effects of compressor stations, and also a list of regulations that have loopholes, or federal regulations really
Yeah.
adequate to protect our health. So those are, I have one copy for everyone. Also, is our health officer involved in the compressor station law and pipelines?
He hasn't, I guess I haven't asked him into it, and he hasn't offered his expertise.
And do we know if there are 2 compressor stations?
Right now, at this point, I would say, yes, there is gonna be 2, because each pipeline is gonna have one. But the first pipeline, what I understand from Davenport is that Constitution has bought a 25-acre lot in Davenport.
Constitution has.
Yes, that's what I've been told by Davenport supervisors.
Well, the thing about the health study is
Right.
that those are things, if you go to the compressor station, you can't really see or hear or feel or know what
Right,
the
right.
emissions
Well,
are.
I'm wondering.
So,
yeah.
and there, from what I've heard, I spoke to the county public health director in Madison County,
Mhm.
and they're doing a study. But he said there really haven't been any other studies that were done before, during construction, and after implementation, after the pipeline is operating.
Mhm.
So we're really, kind of in uncharted territory, and
Right,
but-
right.
and evidently, the gas industry has been, they're exempt from all the federal, or a lot of federal regulations that other industries have to comply with. So that's, for me, very fearsome.
Mhm.
So if you could please
Right.
read because that's about the only thing that's out there that I could find.
This isn't Madison County, this is out of Pennsylvania.
This is Pennsylvania Healthcare Group.
Okay, and, train of thought. Okay, we'll go on from there. Thank you.
So that's my big concern is that.
Yes.
You can't, a handicapped person can get into the school through the back door, just so you know if you're gonna
Right,
You want
if you wanted
something
public
there.
hearings there, right.
The other thing is, most of, you know, that Jerry and I decided after we retired, we both, graduated from Franklin Central School. We decided to come back here because it was we thought it was a safe, comfortable, very nice, pristine place to live. 12 years later, what is happening? And the other thing, and I want you to consider all the people that have moved here, like from when we have moved here, that are in this room. And a lot of them are volunteers, have done all kinds of things in Franklin are to help improve the town, including most of the people that have moved here have either built nice houses, to retire, have built nice houses, or they have redone a lot of the houses in town. Your tax base has gone up because these people have moved here. Now, what's happening, you're gonna lose a lot of tax base if these people decide they're gonna go elsewhere for their retirement. You need to consider that. And, we're a mile from where this site is. We have a well. We wanna protect that well. And you could live any place. You chose to come back to Franklin.
Right.
So I wish you would consider.
Well, Franklin never asked for the pipeline, I don't believe, which is very unfortunate. I
Yes,
mean,
but if you had passed an ordinance, I think you could have stopped it, and you can still stop it. I
Well,
don't think you can.
Well, and we could pass things to protect ourselves.
Yes.
We don't want cancer, we don't want children with asthma.
well, I know what my thought was before. I think, the compressor station, I'm still not sold on it. You think I'm blacklisted or whatever, because I am I guess, whatever. I would like to see what the you know, I know the compressor stations endemic, they were noisy, and I'm sure the pollutants were much higher than what a new one, I'm hoping, than the emissions on a new one. That's what I'm
No,
hoping
but
for.
I don't think the regulations have changed.
Really?
Also, Cornell is doing a study on livestock and
Mhm.
emissions from compressor stations. So that might be something, if you don't care about us, maybe you care about your cows.
We do care of there are workers.
That'd be emissions
There are
that will
workers.
fall on the grass that the cows eat,
You know,
that we drink the
we
milk from.
try to take care of our
Pardon?
employees. Okay.
The other thing is, you have a biased board. Are there any members of the board that are they or their families are financially benefiting from this pipeline or the compressor?
Yes, 2 members.
So if you have 2 out of your board, that's a
If
big,
anything came to a vote,
That's a
I would
big
hope
chunk.
they would refrain from voting. How's that?
and can the other ones not be biased by them? And the other thing, when I went canvassing, I got a lot of, I don't sign petitions. And then somebody said, well, I'm for it, but I can't vote for this. And they were in the fire department, so I knew where that came from.
What they
There were
were
a lot of,
for the petition. They were for the petition and couldn't sign it.
yes,
They were
they would
afraid.
not sign it because, and I knew why, they were in the fire department. There's a lot of them that.
Well, I've heard, you know, rumor, go ahead, Mark.
What's that got to do with it? The fire department
Yeah,
and
they've
stuff?
gotten grants on them and they possibly would get more. So they just, a lot of people just aren't politically involved enough that they just won't do anything. So I don't think you can say the other people that didn't sign the petition
Right.
are for the pipeline, because that, from what I saw, that is definitely not the case.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. I work with a lot of, I'm an educated layman, but I've been researching pipelines and compressors and gas drilling intensively for the last 4 years. And I was just invited to Virginia to work with a group that's fighting the Atlantic Coast pipeline down there. And in answer to this young lady's question, and in answer to your question about what are, this lady with the camera in the front, you were asking as well. Both of you were saying, what's the good side? They have a sign down in Virginia that you see all over the place, and it says, all pain, no gain. And that, I think, very concisely sums it up. The impacts from the pipeline are going to be, and the compressor, are going to be intense. They're going to be immediate when the construction begins, and especially from the compressor, they are going to be long-lasting, like forever. This compressor is a monster, would be a monster. 30,000 horsepower is uncommonly large. I don't know of any in Northeast Pennsylvania that are this big. This thing is going to be clearly a Title V source, which is going to be a major source of air emissions. I have done some rough calculations. I believe that the amount of greenhouse gases are on the order of 150,000 tons per year. This is a coal train, a coal train 15 miles long every year. That's the amount of air emissions. Think of a coal train 15 miles long. That's what's going to be going into the air right here. And think about the hills, the shape. Where is that stuff going to go? Is it going to collect in the valleys, maybe? These people from your town are asking you to take action to protect this community. They're asking very simple and very reasonable things. A noise ordinance, road use ordinance, and the health study. Thank you. These are very reasonable things, and I'm just saying, I love coming up here. I live in Binghamton, very urban area. I love coming up here because this area is so beautiful. monster, this fire-breathing, belching dragon is going to permanently destroy this area. Please do what you can to protect these people. Thank you.